Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Yarifa Syafina with NIM 2024-3252 from Class A Information System Major. In this video, I will explain to you about Port Sentry and Cowry. First step is I update the package repository and install Port Sentry along with its required dependencies. Installation was complete successfully and the software was ready to be configured. Next step is checking the IP address. After installation, I check IP address using IPA command. Initially, the virtual machine received an IP address, which was not suitable for testing. Next step is VirtualBox network configuration. Next, I change the network mode from NAT to host-only adapter. This configuration allows the Windows host and the Kali Linux virtual machine to communicate directly on the same network. Next step is verifying the new IP address. After changing the network adapter, IP address changed to the host-only network. This IP address became the target for the Port Sentry testing process. Next step is connection test. I test the connection using the ping command from the Windows host. All packets were received successfully, confirming that both machines were connected properly. And next step is opening the configuration file. Then I open the Port Sentry configuration file using Nano to modify its operating mode. And next step is configuring Port Sentry. I enable Advanced Stealth mode by setting the TCP and UDP options. This mode allows Port Sentry to detect different types of port scanning attacks more effectively. Next step is starting the service. After the configuration, I start the Port Sentry service and enable it to run automatically whenever the system boots. And next step is checking service status. I verified that the service was active and running successfully. The status confirmed that Port Sentry was listening for suspicious network activities. Next step is port scanning test. I perform a port scan using Nmap from the Windows machine. The scan simulated attacker trying to identify open ports on the target system. And the Port Sentry log successfully detected the port scanning attempts and recorded the attacker's IP address in the system log. And next step is I monitor the latest log entries using the tail command. The log shows continuous detection of multiple scanning attempts, proving that Port Sentry worked correctly and work correctly as in IDS or intrusion detection system. Okay, for the next explanation is about Cowry. First step is VirtualBox network configuration. For the Cowry implementation, I changed the network mode to bridge adapter. This allows the virtual machine to receive IP address from the local router, so it could be accessed from other devices on the network. Next step is checking the IP address. I verified the IP address using IP command. This IP address was later used as the target of the attack simulation. Next step is moving to installation directory. I moved to OPT directory because it's standard location for manually install application in Linux. And next step is closing the Cowry repository. Cloning. Next, I clone the Cowry repository from GitHub. Since the repository already exists, The system displays a message indicating that the directory was already available. Next, we will entering the Cori directory. After that, I enter the Cori installation directory to continue the setup process. Next step is create a dedicated user. I create a user named Cori to improve security by following the principle of least privilege. Next step is changing folder ownership. Then I change the ownership of the Cori directory so that the Cori user had full permission to access all required files. Next step is switching to the Cori user. Next, I log as the Cori user before continuing the installation. Next step is create a virtual environment. I create a Python virtual environment to isolate Cori's dependencies from the system-wide Python installation. Next step is activating the virtual environment. After create virtual environment, I activate to ensure all required package will be installed inside the isolated environment. Next step is upgrading pip. I check and upgrade pip to latest version before installing the required libraries. Next step is installing dependencies. I install all dependencies listed in the requirements file. Since the package were already installed, no additional downloads were needed. And next step is entering the configuration directory. I move to configuration folder where all Cori settings are stored. Next, I create the configuration file. Because the default configuration template was unavailable, I created the configuration file manually. And next step, I editing the configuration. I edit configuration file to define important settings such as the fake hostname, SSH listening port, and log location. Next, I returning to the main directory. After finishing the configuration, I return to main Cori directory to start the service. And next step, I start Cori honeypot. It successfully and began running as background service and was ready to receive SSH connection. Next step, I verifying port 2022 and 24, and the output confirmed that the honeypot was active and waiting for incoming SSH connection. Next step, I checking the IP address again. Before testing, I confirmed that the virtual machine still had the correct IP address. And I simulate SSH login attack from a Windows computer. Cori responded like a real SSH server, accepted the connection, and recorded every command entered by the attacker. Next step is monitoring log. I monitored the Cori log file in real time. The logs show detailed information including the attacker IP address, connection time, and execute command. And next, for the last step, I filtered the logs to display login attempts only. The logs successfully recorded the attacker's username and password, and demonstrating that Cori effectively captured attack activities for further security analysis. I think it's enough from me. Thank you so much for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.